Yeah, as now we get ready for our third game here. We have quite a number of new faces or faces that we have seen before, like Debonair, who stepped out the last game, is back in for this game. We get to see Shocky and Soul here. And we were kind of talking about Soul beforehand and wondering how good is Soul going to play. And this is a player that we already see the respect band there. That Talon pretty much was seen 100% of the time against Soul for Morningstar White. People are just like, we're not letting you play that assassin. But there's so many different assassins he can play that I want to see something like the Rengar. I want to see something spicy here.
Yeah, it feels like one ban's not enough, right? The Kha'Zix is there as well. He literally plays both the Kha'Zix and the Rengar. Just assassins galore. Echo is another champion to whip up. I just think that Morningstar White will used to be Fiora, Gwen, Talon. Those are the 3 bans you have to ban every single time. And this time, there's no use to help out Soul. So Soul could actually get focused out here.
Yeah, I'm expecting Levitate to just go back to another teamfight ADC as well. So I don't know what Soul's going to lock in. I'm going to be real. He's going to pick one of the assassin picks like you guys said. So it's going to be also interesting. Like when you have a player like that, you have to pick around it. So what is Papa going to play? What is Shocky going to lock in? How are they going to make their top side playable when you are playing like Echo and stuff like that? So pretty curious how they navigate just the draft in general, because it's pretty unconventional.
You know what I'm expecting? I was expecting the Zir pick up here for Papa again, but this is going to be a wild thing. I think that what you do here, if you're on the red side here for Fallen Drakes, is you just pick Poppy. I think you pick Poppy, and that takes away a lot of the dive potential that dashes in that Soul tends to have with those assassins. So just get something solid like that in the top lane. Maybe try to pinch the pool of Shocky a little bit so that Poppy has a little bit better of a matchup in the top lane. But that, to me, is like the one I'm really looking at.
Sure. Or something like a Tom Kench, if you want, for Muzi, right? Something that could just negate...
I thought you were about to say Tom Kench for Barrack, and I'm like, wait, when did we go back in time here? I was so confused for a second there.
Ooh, interesting, though. Drake's actually kind of go with the Nautilus. Again, I feel like Nautilus is just such a safe support. Like, there's no situation in which he's terrible. So he's a great blind, even for assassins. If they start coming at you, just press R. Sure, you get to jump in, but then you're still going to pop up. And it's also a great preventative pick, because Thinkart was saying, like, Levitate, Hyper Carry, well, Jinx is banned. That leaves Zeri. So we talked about this before. Nautilus is a great answer into Zeri.
Yeah, let's see where they actually go from here. We have maybe just a Zyrakan.
Yeah. I would have liked Zyrakan, actually. I think that would have been a pretty good one. But it's going to be the Zeri. Yeah. All right, so this is now going to be the next question for you, Thinkard, kind of looking at this. When you have a player like Soul, who we know is the assassin player, loves to play, you know, stuff that we don't tend to see in a lot of competitive games. How would you as a coach draft around that player and around the team to build up that player even more?
Honestly, it depends what his style is, because you can play those types of characters and just clear really quickly because a lot of them have super fast clear speed and try to get an XP lead, or you can go for the invading type of style. So it kind of depends what he wants. If you need lanes that need prio to push, invade, get a camp lead, punish jungle, or you want safer lanes to ward up and make sure that he can full clear. So honestly, not too familiar with his style, but it's definitely just dependent on how he likes to play.
All right, Kog'Maw here for Anori B. I was expecting the Varus to be the lock-in again, but no, just seeing that completely skipped over, and I'm wondering if that is going to be actually Anori B on Kog'Maw or if it's going to be Flex mid.
And then you're thinking Cryer on the Talia jungle? That's the situation here?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think that's terrible.
Cryer likes Talia, so
is playable.
Yeah, also Kog'Maw's good into Azir. I do like Kog'Maw into Zeri. It is a little bit underrated. So I think that's probably more likely. I don't know if they like the Kog'Maw Talia mid jungle duo.
Yeah, that would be that would actually gotta be a little bit doubling up on the same damage there, especially when trying to go for plays. And dependent on what you want to play here for Soul, you're a very easy target then for Debonair to get dove over and over again. So I think it would be a smarter call to go into the bot lane for Anori B. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these champions that tend to get into the back line. That Viego, not exactly an assassin, but definitely plays into the wheelhouse of Soul as he tries to disrupt that back line, while actually Kindred and Cryra's team not actually going for his champ.
No, these are respect times coming out against Soul, right? These are the more sort of meta champions.
I just thought that they would take it themselves, that's all.
True. I mean, the option is there, but I guess with the Kog'Maw at this point, considering that you didn't go defensive support, they might want something that gives them a little bit more of that front line for the Kog'Maw. And hey, like you mentioned, Poppy is still open at Magic Point. It works really, really well with a Kog'Maw in your back line.
Okay,
this is a Xin Zhao game if Blue side
You
plays
think
Xin Zhao 100%.
Soul definitely does play Xin Zhao, so that is something that they could play. But also, it is still Soul, so it's completely up in the open. It could be anything, really. It could end up being that they see the Xin Zhao and you go, nah, I want to play Kha'Zix here. Or it could be the Xin Zhao takeaway here for Cryer, because Cryer plays out a lot, and that is going to be the option. Pretty much a 6th man there for our red team.
Do we got a delay on this stream, or are they just picking Thinkard's brain right now? They're saying, oh, they're gonna pick it on blue side, we'll take it away on red side quick, so that they can't
Honestly,
pick it.
yeah, honestly not bad. But yeah, Xin Zhao Braum, insanely good at the Nautilus. They take away the Xin Zhao. Now I'm curious what he plays. He can play, I mean, Volibear is gonna get absolutely destroyed by Kog'Maw, so maybe not Volibear.
No.
So I'm not sure what he's gonna pick into Xin Zhao at this point.
I mean, you could go something like a Belveth as well if you want to, I think. That gives you also the CC lockup for your team, and you can just kind of go in with the Renekton, buy space for your Zeri. And one thing is, if you're distracting the Kog'Maw sufficiently, then he's not kind of wrecking the rest of your team. And with the Azir Zeri, you do output a lot of damage. So far, I'm not seeing the ability to match for Fallen Drakes. They are still waiting for a top later, but barring something like a Gwen, I don't think they can actually match damage.
Okay, it is going to be Nocturne, something that can dive into that backline, disrupt. That's why I was waiting. I didn't want to call it out until it actually got locked in there. But I like that. I actually like the Nocturne here with Renekton too. They are both good champions of diving into the backline, getting on top of Kog'Maw, and really disrupting even the Talia here for Debonair. Make it really easy for them. Whoa!
They locked it!
God, okay.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Urgot matchups, I'm going to be honest here.
Neither am I. Not against Renekton. I haven't seen Urgot in a while. That's the only reason.
Yeah. I mean, they nerfed the Hullbreaker interaction. That's the last thing I remember about Urgot. I haven't seen a Lauren play for a while, so, you know, I haven't seen the Urgot. Yeah, I'm just thinking, too, compositionally, I'm just looking at Fallen Drakes, and I'm not quite sure what we're looking for. Like, you've got good early with the Xin Zhao and the Urgot topside. Kog'Maw doesn't feel like he has sufficient peel. It feels like Inori B is just going to have to, like, you know, beast mode this himself. He's got somewhat of a front line, but it's not like super tanks either.
Nah, so yeah, I'm gonna go for the all-in Urgot. It's Urgot mode here for Barrack. I don't care if it actually doesn't work or if it doesn't have any synergy with the team. I just like seeing it. That's my whole analysis there.
Just looking at these team comps, it is funny. You see Zeri and Azir, and you're like, okay, they're front to backing, but those characters can also dive really, really well. And so if Talia and Kog'Maw are out of position, Nocturne's flying in, Azir's flying in, Zeri's flying in, instant Talia or Kog'Maw, just instant delete. That could be a pretty easy way for them to win a fight. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to go with that insane aggression that you'd expect when you lock in those three champions together.
That's like, I'm interested as well. I definitely think that I'm going for Hearts on Air here in this comp, just with how much dive potential. Even the Braum can dive pretty well. You know, he's a great tool that can dash in with the rest of the team. They all can really attack this immobile backline. But if you don't kill Inori B and Debonair quickly enough, they can turn this around pretty efficiently. So I think that is going to be the kind of thing. How fast is this blue team going to kill the backline here of our red team? We'll find out. We're going to toss it to a break. Wait, are we tossing to a break, or do we decide not to do that? I just realized that.
It's your call, Mashko.
You know what? I'm gonna say break because I want to stand up for the game. So we're gonna be back. I want to get out of this chair. So we'll see you in just a second. Hello, hello, welcome back in. Got a little bit of delay. We didn't get to see the first minute and a half of the game, but nothing happened. So it's all good. Nothing really exciting happened, which is perfectly fine. Thankfully, that's the one time I don't want the shenaniganeries to happen, just because then we'd miss it, and then I'd be sad.
Fair enough. And we should note as well, like these tech delays, this is spec bug. It's been happening since the beginning of the year pretty much. So thankfully we found a way to, at least in tournament realm, hop in relatively quickly. And Matt Magical, we're talking about, level 1 shenanigans again. I'm expecting to see some early game
No,
happenings.
level 1 shenaniganeries. It's not shenanigans, it's shenaniganeries.
Shenaniganeries?
Yes.
What's the difference here?
It's my word.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, and it's your game. It's your costume today, so shenaniganeries it whiz. Yeah, so level 1, I don't expect anything, but top side, I do expect to see some early pressure from Barrett. Because when you pick this Urgot, I'm still, up to now, trying to puzzle out what this red comp, or how it's supposed to necessarily perform with this Urgot, or where the Urgot fits in. And since I can't, I've just got to assume that it's a win lane style pick. So win lane, win game-esque, or just win lane and get pressure early.
Well, so far he is doing a pretty good job, but bot lane, did see that? Levitate, putting a nice ward right outside of that blue buff. We'll spot out that Kryra that started red side will be close to the bot lane. That is going to be matched in kind by Soul. And I'm curious to see if we actually see any attention here from our junglers, especially for Soul. Usually you just kind of want to power farm, get to level 6 as Nocturne, and then that's when you really try to be all over the map.
Yeah, and I don't think that Soul is necessarily looking to gank. It's just really just to cover and counter gank, and frankly, with that ward from Levitate and Just, they should know well enough to be fine. If anything, yeah, I think Soul's just blitzing down the scuttle, and you're trying to get in and get out without actually entangling yourselves with the fallen drakes here.
Kind of funny just watching the Urgot Renekton top lane. Just seeing a little bit of skirmish there, but Soul was able to take that Scuttle Crab here on the bot side. Well, mid lane, a little bit of trade there, but Soul's got to kind of walk through mid lane. So they'll know that he's on his way over towards that top scuttle, and with a push there from Shocky, getting Barrick back towards his turret, means that you don't really have a way to take that Scuttle Crab. So it will be a double scuttle play for our blue team so far. Hearts on air. Could actually be off to a pretty good start here for Nocturne.
Yeah, especially, against a Xin Zhao, who normally is such an early game powerhouse. If you can track where he's ganking and you can kind of take away those scuttles from him, that's absolutely massive. And once you kind of miss that first clear, Xin Zhao can't really get the early ganks off, then that's when, the Nocturne gets a chance. Second full clear, you kind of hit that level 6, you get that Paranoia up and available, and that's when the Nocturne starts to come alive.
Yeah, but at the moment, a cheater recall there from Levitate. Comes back into lane with a call. Kind of like that, actually. They understood that this was going to be a slow push from Minori Bia and Muzi. The Levitate, someone that we looked at game 1 and how they were able to play it, and it was on the Zeri, so getting that second time today. I'm really curious how this kind of composition is going to pilot, because now with just taking a beating there from Minori Bia and Muzi, that means your Brahm's kind of taken out of this equation, and Levitate, who just got back into lane, it might struggle. And speaking of struggling, Shocky was able to slice and dice his way away. When it becomes lightning, does tag him, just kind of a love tap onto the Crocodile at that point.
Yeah, just about sending a message sometimes, Magical. And Shocky did burn teleport earlier, so that damage is going to stick. Sure, Renekton has some heals, but it does mean 0 pressure for this set of Void Grubs.
And with the fact that we see that Soul was on his Raptors on the bottom half of the map, even if they had a push there from Papa mid lane, they don't want to contest this. No reason to really throw your lives over the first 3 Grubs added in Eddie, or what is it? There's so many different nicknames that people have for him. I prefer the Ed, Ed, and Eddie one. But
yeah, I like that.
What about you? What are your nicknames for the Grubs?
So I like Ed, Ed, and Eddie, but because we've been casting over in CB LOL, I found out the Brazilian equivalent of Ed, Ed, and Eddie is Do, Dudu, and Edu. And I kind of like that one a little more.
Do, Edu.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I will say that one's actually pretty good. I think, oh man, I'm torn now. I kind of like it. But the thing is, you kind of call them different names, right? There's Ed and Eddie and Do, and Adu, right?
Yeah.
That's how you say it?
Do,
so I think you separate them. You separate them. So the first set can be Ed and Eddie. Second be Do, and Adu. There we go.
So second set's from Brazil?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Jockey had to pop the dominance here in the top lane.
Ooh.
Got a lot of damage there on a Barrick, but did take a tower shot. Barrick is very cautious and very unconcerned with how he played that one. Kind of like, yeah, you know what? You popped the ultimate. I still have my ult myself. If I want to, fear beyond death, you try that again, I will kill you.
100%. And that's Shocky's all in, right? Like, that's a big ultimate. Before that, we've seen Barrick just kind of pressure in without that ultimate available. So like you said, large windows of opportunity for Barrick to play around. And you look at the CS differential as well, right? Barrick has dominated this lane up to this point. You're not too worried about it. Even now, despite getting chunked down, you're still behind in gold on the side of
Yeah.
Shocky.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a slow, patient game here for
Yep.
Barrick. That's why Shocky is really trying to push this these minions, because he understands that if he doesn't get this unfrozen, then it's going to be pretty easy for Barrick to call up Kryra like he's doing right now. It is going to be spotted out on that pixel brush. So Shocky has his way out of there, but only just barely, which means that Barrick's continuing to get the CS lead above Shocky.
Okay, Shocky did incredibly well, and now Shocky's playing with fire because
Yeah,
he
he
did
is.
see Cryo back off, but Cryo could still be hovering in the area.
Yeah, especially on the tri-bush. You don't know, and with the pixel
Yeah.
bush ward going away, that's why Soul is nearby. He's
Yeah,
there to
Soul
cover
6.
this top lane just in case. Barrick is really low. Even if he get the shield, it's going to be the flash hit.
Okay.
That's the paranoia. The shield does not help. They got first blood for Soul. The bounce back on the flash
Oh.
away. So they do escape. And all the while, Papa finds Debonair. There's going to be the seismic shove away. So Debonair will be able to escape danger. But great play there from Hearts on Air.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, Magical, right? The fact that, hey, Kryra's set behind, Soul is ahead. Once Soul hits level 6, things get a lot tougher for this Xin Zhao. I think the ganks get a lot tougher. And mid lane, Papa continuing the abuse right now in this mid lane, just punishing Debonair. Debonair is lucky that the paranoia is already down.
Exactly. And so I think that's the only reason Debonair is staying here in mid lane, knowing that there's not that chance to die here so easily. But I like that from Soul. We were looking for that first mark that they were going to make as a jungler, where it was going to be and how they were going to do it. It was pretty much the standard playbook, right?
Mhm.
Nocturne, get into level 6, ganks immediately onto a low health lane. That just happened to be the top lane. So Barrick, maybe it was Barrick really playing with fire that entire time, and we were just not giving enough credit over to Shocky and Soul.
Well, because for Barrick, he has to make these plays, right? You're the Urgot. You're the one who has to apply all that pressure early. And so, understandably, he's waiting around. You've got the Xin Zhao in back pocket. I think that was the right call from Barrick for the most part. It's really Shocky kind of outplaying there, and that's what you want to see. Once again, Shocky.
There's another ultimate
winning.
from Shocky, using the dominance onto Barrick and getting a big beating there onto Urgot.
Oh.
Really just wailing away on the poor Urgot.
Barrick just got back to lane too.
Yeah.
Like, didn't have to be, had to walk the full thing, and is now potentially going to be forced out once again. And
No, he
Barrick?
can't leave, because that's the whole point you were talking about. This is why you play the Urgot, is for the lane pressure to get these leads, and he has that CS lead. But you have to play for that as we go into the bot lane. And Soul, he just walks up to this one. Saunters up, they get the stun on Amuzi, but he is able to get away. Soul getting the fear onto Nori B, but nobody wants to dive that Nautilus, not just yet.
yeah, it's a little bit scary. They saw the movement as well from Debonair in the mid lane. Weaver's Wall is up and available. I mean, that's the equivalent of the paranoia, right? In terms of being able to cover for these gangs. So good on Levitate and Jess not to overextend at this point. They do burn some of their summoners. The critical flash is still up and available for both of them. So for the next couple of fights, they still have that safety in lane and potentially in the later Dragon team fight that might crop up.
All right, so Barrick did actually complete the recall. Finally, I was kind of watching that Urgot to see if it was going to happen, because if not, the paranoia is back up for Soul. They could rinse and repeat that play again, because look at the build so far for Barrick. Yeah, you have the plated steel caps, but 2 long swords and a ruby crystal, you're going to get bursted down pretty easily by Soul, as they are going to take themselves their first Void Grub, denying all 6 on the other side. Well, Barrick chasing down, getting a little bit of damage onto Soul, but it was a spell shield if he needed to. El Shocky
he's
nice to
stuck.
pull back in, and the Weaver's Wall. The Croc can't get in here. He's going to be ground to bits.
Yeah, Shocky and Soul fueling themselves a little bit too much there. Yes, you were winning in lane, Shocky. That's an amazing job. But going for the Void Grubs when you kind of didn't really have the full control and full vision of everyone.
Papa, hello, in the mid lane, they got the fear and the stun on the Debonair. All right, just interrupting your point you were making right there.
You know what? I feel like this is going to happen a lot because we're seeing the sort of global ultimates come through in these plays. Debonair kind of finding the first one out to Shocky, Soul answering back in the mid lane. Definitely something we'll have to keep our eyes on. For now, though, we're just kind of seeing the trade, the handshake, right? The fact that Kryra is picking up Void Grubs, while Soul's just going to take the Dragon instead.
Yeah, I think that's fine, especially because, like I said, you are denying all 6 of the Void Grubs.
Yeah.
Which means that Barrick, that is the other thing you can play for when you have Urgot, is side lane pressure, right? You can play for, if you need to, split push, backdoor capabilities out of Urgot. He takes towers really quickly later into the game. And where I talked about the hull breaker build, on Olaf in the previous game, this one even more so. Like, Urgot really wants to have that hull breaker just so he can stay in that side lane, make sure that Shocky isn't ever a part of a fight. And if he is, then suddenly you have this Urgot taking down the entire base.
Yeah, I think they nerfed some sort of interaction with Hullbreaker and Urgot. Something wasn't working quite
They
right.
nerfed it, but it's still good.
Okay,
I mean,
fair
it was
enough.
OP before. it was disgustingly broken before. Now
Fair
it's
enough.
like, okay, it's level playing field, but still good.
Now, here's my problem, Magical, because even despite the fact that if you hold Shocky to a lane, I still don't think the Fallen Drake's 4v4 is necessarily stronger than Hearts on Air.
Fair.
So the scaling too that comes through from Hearts on Air is going to be really, really strong. So if anything, topside is one thing. They're on an island, you'll do your 1v1 thing. But I need to see the rest of the Fallen Drakes be able to find some sort of advantage for themselves. And so far, that hasn't been the case. Whereas for Hearts on Air, look where their kills went. Both are onto Soul, the guy who's going to be able to dive later and one-shot one of these targets.
It's the guy who we already talked about how he likes to be all over the map. He loves playing his assassins.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's already doing so well, I'm really looking at Soul. We were kind of wondering how he was going to match up to the competition, right? We're kind of wondering how that was going to stack up, because he was someone that we were wondering, was it him or was it Yushin in the top lane for Morningstar White? And right now, I'm thinking it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B.
Yeah, I mean, Shocky's definitely doing a great job in that top side. He's pretty much almost already caught up in terms of CS, right? You're only one wave down in terms of CS, and experience-wise, that isn't the case.
Oh,
sure.
wait a minute.
As you say
Shocky
that.
Peric. I think Shocky kind of realized that at that point. He's like, wait a minute. I don't know if I actually want to fight this one. Even if I have dominance, if he gets me low enough with Fear Beyond Death, it's a weird interaction that can happen that if you don't actually pop the ult preemptively against Fear Beyond Death, you have the ult on you. You get the pull back in as you channel dominance.
Yep.
You actually still die. You're still going to die, so you don't actually get past the threshold that you normally would have had beforehand.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Shocky just based. There's no need to play with fire, court death in that sort of situation. You've already kind of hit your item breakpoint. You've got the Eclipse. The lane gets a little bit easier at this point. Ooh, Inori's base is cancelled. I don't know if it's going to be that significant, though. I mean, there's no dragon for another 2 minutes.
I think it's more, we're just looking at the top side right now. Because looking at where everyone is, it's just about making sure now it's kind of weird. It's the bot lane that's on an island. It's more about how you're playing around the top side with the Rift Herald spawned up. And that's why we even see that Kryra kind of hovering around the mid lane. And that's going to be the ultimate use both sides onto Debonair. He will die, but can Kryra turn it around? He puts down the Crescent Guard, now turning his attention onto Papa, but he is not getting anything. No way he can beat the Emperor himself mid lane.
No, and this is why we were talking about those kills going to Soul early, right? The fact that he can so quickly burst down a target, whereas Kryra, you've got a bit of upfront burst, but you're in a 1v2 situation. You're not going to be able to win that.
Uh-oh. Fear Beyond Death has been popped.
Oh!
Oh, what the? Oh, the burst damage that you get from that. Like, what?
You want to talk about weird Dominus interactions with that Fear Beyond Death? The Dominus has passive burn, right? So you pulled it
it's
into
the
low
passive burn.
I've never seen that happen before, but that's actually so funny.
That's something I was theorizing, and I'm like, it's never going to happen. I don't need to mention it.
Well, it's actually pretty critical, though, because this Urgot, like we said, it was picked to kind of win the lane, to win that 1v1. The fact that Shocky's winning that, accelerating it in this isolated matchup, is actually really, really bad for Barrick. And now I think we're going to start hitting the point where Barrick won't be able to hold Shocky into that 1v1 situation. And that could result later on in 5v4s or 5v5s, or no, not 5v5, 5v4.5, because Urgot does not count as a full champion in team fights.
You said all this analysis. I'm still just thinking about what happened. my brain can't get over that. That was just hilarious.
Well, I don't know if Barrick finds it quite as funny, but I'll say that much.
Okay, the reason why I want to bring it... Oh, hold on. That was a nice Glacial Fissure getting the flash out of Debonair, and Kryra now put himself in a bad spot, and all the while they're getting the flash on an Ori B, and how do you escape when a Nocturne's on top of you? You just don't. Neither they're just Moozy. Even if you're Spider-Man, you're the one who dies. And they got both bot lane gone right as the Dragon's about to spawn. It is going to be our Hearts on Air taking themselves the second objective on this Dragon.
Magical Kryra's been doing so well today, so far in the game.
He has been, but
But
Not
Soul
enough.
just came in, and suddenly Soul just looks like the new hot thing. We had questions like, we know Soul's good, but the question was, how good is he? Because when you're playing on the same team as Yushin, and Yushin is getting you all that pressure up top, it's easy for Soul to kind of look really good. But this game, yes, Shocky did get early pressure. Yes, Shocky helped Soul in the beginning, but right now Soul is 3-0-2. He's part of 5 out of the 6 kills.
I would argue that it was Soul who got Shocky pressure in the top lane, because Barrick was the one constantly shoving this lane, constantly making it so the Renekton was struggling. Yes, Shocky did get a good trade on Barrick eventually. That did set up Soul. But the fact that you have Soul for that dive when you're so worried, because you knew that you couldn't actually do anything to Urgot while he was stuck under the turret. By yourself as Renekton, he is stuck there, so you had to call on Soul. And now Soul getting attacked here by that Urgot and Kryra underneath the turret, looking for the fear, but doesn't get it in time. There was a nice dive by Papa. Will make sure they get something back. The flash in from Kryra with the knockup as well. Flashing away from the fear beyond death, but look at the reinforcements on the other side. About to collapse. Kryra's too low to stay in this fight. They don't want to actually pull off the fight. Instead, it is going to be Hearts on air falling back, while Shocky, with that TP, can still join if they need to.
Okay, it looks like Hearts on air actually wants to just kind of say, we're going to give this up, but starting up the Herald here feels like you're playing with fire. Just will walk in for this one. Sure, you get the kill fast enough. You cannot get the Herald fast enough.
No, and that's they are falling back, and that's why I was wondering if we were going to see Fallen Drakes stay on that Rift Herald, because Shocky had TP, could easily join in, and with how low both Muzi and Kryra were, you can't actually stay on that objective. They can easily TP in the Renekton. We've already seen how much damage he could do. Soul was about to spawn. It's still early into the game, well, early enough, where that respawn timer is pretty low. And having Paranoia that he can join into the fight will help out, but now it's going to be the TP into the top lane looking for Papa, who doesn't have the effort to fight. Weaver's wall making sure there's no escape here. Papa doing his best to delay the inevitable, but with the TP from Shocky, not canceled. Shocky body blocking, but Kryra was able to get into the back line, leaving Debonair out to dry, or is it? Because Muzi comes up out of nowhere. Death charge onto Papa, burst of damage onto Shocky. Fear Beyond Death does connect onto Papa, but they had the dash in. He goes golden delay, but Shocky healing back up, doesn't get enough. Papa's gone, and Barrick will collect the gold there from Shocky.
But they're buying so much time, Magical, and in the mid lane, the rest of Hearts in there. Oh, never mind.
No, Inori B just gets spotted out. Says, hello, goodbye, turn out the lights.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's Inori D right there. D with a capital D for dead. Just solo picked off by Soul, and we're going to continue seeing that. This is my concern with this Cogmaw without any sort of peel, and it's only gotten worse with Soul getting ahead. And they get the mid lane inner turret. Sure, Fallen Drake's got more kills. You got a turret as well, but I still think this one goes the way of Hearts in Air.
Yeah, at the moment, having themselves a 2,500 gold lead. Sure, it's only 20 minutes into the game, so that's not the biggest lead that you have, but 2 dragons on their side. Infernal Rift with the Baron spawning up. I'm seeing that it's going to be really difficult here for Fallen Bandits. I keep saying Fallen Bandits. Fallen Drakes to do anything, especially as we have it where vision control is going to be so imperative around these objectives, and that is what Nocturne is so good at doing, is making sure that you can never feel comfortable.
Yeah, because sure, you've got vision-esque, and it messes up with a lot of things with that vision. Let's keep in mind too, this is Combine, right? This Fallen Drakes is not a team that's played together a ton. Like, some of these players might have played together in certain teams and or, you know, in solo queue or whatnot, but they are effectively just being put together on the game. And so the communications, it's a little bit tough, and I feel like Paranoia excels in situations like this. So yeah, I think Soul is going to continue being an absolute menace, an absolute threat. And also, one thing we should know, you know, we talk about Barrick, you know, can you hold the 1v1? I guess we should also point out it's never going to be a 1v1, because Soul is always going to be sitting in Shocky's back pocket with that Paranoia.
For a while at least. I do think that there is going to be a point that you don't ever really want to have Soul try to attack Barrick, because if you're doing that, then that means you're not diving Inori B, you're not diving Debonair, and that's really what you want. As if you get rid of those two, Barrick is a non-issue, because then afterwards you can go, oh, I guess there's some free gold in a side lane that we can get. Kind of like a turret, right? You leave some turrets open, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? We don't have to play for that right now. We can play for it later after we already make a good call, and then collect some insurance money later.
Just build Hexplate, have it both ways.
I'm surprised we haven't seen the Hexplate yet for Soul. Usually that's like the first item we've been seeing for a lot of Nocturnes. But
Levitate.
looks like Levitate getting caught out here. They're going to get the Empress Divide, but Levitate getting chased down by Debonair. Pulled back in into the meat grinder for the fear on a Papa, so they get 2 kills. This is a perfect fight so far. The flash from Shocky to get into the back line on a Debonair will trade 1, but they've already lost 3, and Shocky realizing he has to take the blast gun away, and all the while, Justice getting chased down by Kryra. Perfect fight here. Finding that pick onto Levitate has just had to flash away, dashing towards the minion, but he'll easily be dove there by Kryra. All the while, Shocky still getting chased, but it looks like the Croc will slip between the fingers here of the Fallen Drakes.
And for Fallen Drakes, this is perfectly fine. Yes, they got distracted, but it's okay because they're just rotating into the mid lane. Kryra can solo out that Drake on his own. That will be A-okay. And Fallen Drakes seeming out of nowhere managed to equalize the game. Step 1 in trying to come back to this one.
It's all from that pick onto Levitate. There's so much that then had to be burned out of Hearts on Air to try to defend the Levitate. And it allowed the team that wants to have the catch and release, that wants to normally absorb the play, to actually be the ones aggressing. They didn't have to worry about Soul getting onto Nori B so easily, nor onto Debonair, because they were already on top of Levitate. They were already on top of Papa.
And the icing on the cake was the fact that Papa got caught as well, right? Those are the two big sustained damage carry threats on the side of Hearts on Air. And Papa did a great job using that Emperor's Divide, threw his body in there, and it created that space for Levitate. That is probably kind of the right call in a situation like this. You're trusting the Zeri to carry, but there was no backup anywhere nearby. And by the time Soul arrived, Levitate was already dead. Papa was anything but, or just next to dying, pardon me.
As now, this gives a little bit of time here to Fallen Drakes, getting them some critical item spikes. Terminus there for Nori B. They get a little bit easier to survive some of these initial dives. They'll be levied on top of him. And also even getting some control around this top half of the map. Of course, we do see that Hearts on Air are making it difficult. It is the battle back and forth, the typical dance that we see around Vision, around the Purple Worm. But the fact that you're even in a position where you're starting to slowly creep back into this game as a team that we saw was going to struggle is going to be nice. But here we go, Barrick in the bot lane. This is what I was saying. I wanted to see a play elsewhere on the map for the size of Fallen Drakes, as Barrick will die. There were pings onto the Baron, but they weren't ready quickly enough.
Yeah, and that's the concern for the rest of this Fallen Drake squad, right? Like, the gold was pretty much dead even, maybe even slightly in the favor of Fallen Drakes, but a lot of that gold was sitting on Barrick. You can see right there, prior to that death, because I think it was Shocky who actually ended up picking that one up, the gold difference was probably closer to like 600, right? So that means that everything else is equal.
Oh, good flash from Nori B, but there's so much, and this is what we're talking about. When you're the ones aggressing, this works out for Hearts on Air, but Papa, he is going to get shoved back in. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade while Levitate dashing over the wall, so Just can have an escape route too. But I actually kind of like that here for Hearts on Air, still looking for these proactive plays. That's what you have to do every time.
Yeah, and what ended up being a 3v4 situation. So sure, you trade AD carry for mid, but considering that Hearts on Air still had to push from Shocky and so on the bot side, that was really good on them to be able to find that sort of 1-for-1 trade. It also does mean that both teams will be kind of just looking to reset after that sort of series of events, and Hearts and Air don't get the priority to actually clear out this Baron pit.
No, so both teams kind of resetting on the map momentarily. We see that Barrick back into the bot lane, pretty much going to do the same thing, rinse and repeat. Look to siege down this turret, but with Shocky having been spotted out in the top lane, that is going to be a free turret, free gold collected for Barrick. And you can see the pings, they realize, okay, not much we can do there. And even with Soul on the top half of the map, I'm looking to see what you do here for Hearts on Air to kind of capitalize on the fact that Barrick is going to be bot lane. You still have that TP from Papa.
And I'm looking at Soul to try and figure out how that's going to happen. Soul has the Paranoia up and available, whether that be used on Barrick like we saw before, or whether, as you were calling for, Magical, kind of finding a pick on the rest of the team and then setting up for that Baron. Both are options, but you need vision to do that. And Hearts and Air actually don't have the vision to find the picks right now.
Not quite yet, at least not with how defensive we're seeing the Fallen Drakes playing. They're playing this one wise. Yeah, you pretty much have to give that kind of distance, more than a screen and a half away. So that way Soul, if he does pop the Paranoia, is diving very far away from his team. And that gives you plenty of opportunity to kill him before the Croc, before Papa, before Levitate can actually dive into the back line with him.
Okay, we see Barrick actually joining the rest of the team. Fallen Drakes opting for a team fight. Can they find a pick?
Muzi, I like that flash with the pop in the back line. They get the flash away, but Just is going to be the target. He does dash away. That is a TP from Papa. make sure there's no further chase. The attempt was made by Fallen Drakes, but not actually netting the kills.
No, and that's almost all the massive teamfight ultimates burnt from Fallen Drake. The only big teamfight one left is the Crescent Guard from Kryra, which is more defensive than anything else. So Fallen Drakes, they shoot the shot, they can't find anything, and if anything, Hearts and Air should be looking to try and capitalize on that right now.
Yeah, but we are getting pretty late into this game. At least we're getting towards those 16 marks for Barrack. You can see how low that cooldown timer actually is. Same with depth charge for Muzi. So as long as you play this one patiently, you can actually get that back up and make it so that when it comes to this next dragon that's going to be spawning here in about 20 seconds, sure, it's only Chemtech Soul, not the best one that you can have, but even just having that opportunity, getting the soul, I would say soul's a soul, and you'll take that, and denying that third point for the side of Hearts on Air is going to be so critical for Fallen I almost did it again, Fallen Drakes.
Well, Soul's a soul, Magical, but is it better for Soul?
Why not? I'll take it. Soul having a soul is going to be even better because that's doubling up the souls. And if I've learned anything from Kingdom Hearts, wait, no, that's Heartless. That's not souls.
Soulless?
Soulless. Yeah, you know, Heartless, Soulless, that's the same thing, right?
I feel like that's a philosophical debate I'm not equipped to handle.
Okay, well,
whether or not minions don't have hearts or souls.
Very early. That's going to be gone. Paranoia does get on to Inori B. First casualty as Levitate dashing in, but the Crescent Guard denying a lot of the damage, so Kryra dashing back himself, realizing there's nothing else he can do. Double kill for Soul.
It's not just the soul casualty, Magical. It's the critical casualty. The moment Inori B is kind of out of the fight, Fallen Drakes don't have the damage to actually finish an extended fight there. Sure, Debonair might be able to find a pick, but it's got to be on Levitate or bust. And now, because of that Hearts and Air, they get to go for this dragon. They're not worried about getting forced off in a fight.
Nah, this is a pretty free Baron. Going to be taken for Hearts on Air. You can even see that Fallen Drake's not even attempting. They're just not going anywhere near that. Give it up for now. Wait for Inori B. But this is the problem that we had with the draft, right? When we looked at Fallen Drakes, how do you protect Inori B when so many people, the moment he's on the same screen as anybody on the side of Hearts on Air, they're diving Inori B.
Yeah, and I actually really like what Fallen Drake, specifically Kryra, Debonair, and Muzi have been able to do this game and what they've been actively looking to do with a lot of these picks. But the draft is just, it feels like, making it very, very difficult. And the win con is just so narrow. Whereas for Hearts and Air, first of all, Soul got accelerated early. Experimental Hexblade is completed as well.
There it is.
And Soul's just been doing so incredibly well with this Nocturne. It feels like wherever he goes, it's guaranteed at least one kill, probably more.
Now that's on a 70-second cooldown now for Paranoia. That's going to be up pretty much every single fight. That is going to be used nearly like once it's on off cooldown, you're using that every single time. You're looking for these plays. You're looking for Inori B. You see him anywhere nearby. That's when you call in the submarine squad and you're looking to dive.
Yeah, now for Hearts and Air, though, they should actively be looking to dive, maybe even the turrets, because you've got Baron buff at this point. You need to be pushing. And we had a bit of a stall in the mid game because Hearts and Air couldn't push through the defense of Fallen Drakes. You talk about that sort of catch and release style from Fallen Drakes being able to soak up the initial engage and snap back. Well, if you can't break it normally, then you've got to use this Baron or Elder, these sort of massive neutral objectives.
And the bigger thing, too, is like we were saying before, you have to be able to absorb that pressure in the first place. So right now, Shocky not absorbing that damage. It's struggling. Even with the Eclipse Shield, he will die to Croc. Shut down by Barrack.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Hearts and Air are not able to capitalize somewhere else on the map. They were actually kind of rotating into the jungle at that point, setting up vision. They were not pressing on the bot lane, so they can't threaten a dive. And the Baron push, Magical. This feels like a net negative Baron push.
Wait, or is it? Oh, Papa, beautifully attempt there. It was so close. I saw what Muzi was trying to do there. He was hoping that the wall would go down quick enough so he could throw that out. But now that Soul has actually been spotted out in this mid lane, maybe we'd see a flash in from Barrack to get the throw over the shoulder, but it's going to be a TP from Papa getting back into the mid lane to scare off the members of Fallen Drakes. Muzi and Inori B nearby, but nobody actually wants to dive. They don't have the Croc just yet. 15 seconds until he's going to be back up. But no, it actually is going to be an attempt with the Weaver's Wall. Sundesk has been put down, but everyone had already disengaged here from Hearts on Air.
Yeah, and the call from Hearts and Air is not necessarily the team fight. They're actually buying space for Levitate on that bot side. So it's all a defensive play. It's all a distraction and sleight of hand. And with the very last minute of Baron power play still in Hearts and Air, at least crack one inner turret, but it feels like a very expensive inner turret.
Very expensive one, and we already saw how they struggled to actually crack open the outer turrets. Now, how do you get to the inhibitors, right? How do you get inside of the base without Baron? I just don't think that they do. They have to really be reliant on maybe the side of Fallen Drake leaving their base, leaving the comfort zone, but you don't need to. There's nothing to play for right now. You have a minute until the next dragon is going to spawn, and it's not going to be Soul. So even if you give up the third dragon, yeah, Soul Point's pretty big. You're buying time. You're buying space. I think Thinkard kind of talked about it well when it comes to Debonair. When you have a late game Talia, the amount of damage you have, 3 items completed, if you can get to that Zonias, you're going to be so much more impactful for the team, because now that takes away an additional target for Soul. He can only go for a Nori B, which means a Nori B can play even more passively and really rely on Muzi to peel for him.
Well, on the other hand, though, if you are in stasis, you're not pumping out damage and you're not putting down spells. So I think it does become an interesting exercise in terms of Soul can only go for one person, but is the rest of Hearts on Air strong enough to be able to actually push through and finish off Inori B when Debonair is not available in that, what is it, 2.5 seconds of stasis? When Debonair is not able to provide that CC, provide the extra damage to dissuade divers from going through.
Shocky has been wailing away at the top lane, so it is going to be some gold picked up. So even without the Baron, at least taking the last of the inner turrets out as the dragon spawns. But keep in mind, Shocky and Soul are just staying resolute. They're saying, again, as I was calling out, it's not a Soul. You're only getting the Soul point. So they'll just take opening up the base for free in this top lane.
They didn't finish it!
No! Oh, Shocky's got to go in. He
might die for this.
But now he might die, like you were just saying, gets pulled back in. He is definitely dead.
Oh,
where's
my
the Fury on
goodness.
Deathfire? Make some nice meat out of the crocodile.
Not like this, Magical, not like this!
Literally one auto. Oh, that is so tragic.
Yeah, that one really hurt. Sets them behind now. Just might be in trouble as well.
I thought, yeah, they're going to go for this. They have the Weaver's Wall, and they've got Debonair looking for the pull back in with the seismic shove. Didn't connect, but the flash away just with the flash burns there. I wonder if they actually want to peel back and get control around the Baron pit. You have 45 seconds, so that gives you a lot of ample opportunity to secure vision. For the first time, we're seeing Fallen Drakes actually have decent setup to deny the dives out of Hearts on Air.
6,000 gold deficit, Magical. They might set the vision. I don't know if they can actually do the Baron, though.
No. You're just setting up vision. You're 100% just making it so that one tool is not very useful. Because now you know where Soul's going to be. That's all I think you do here is just take away some elements. Slowly pick apart at the strengths that will be coming through. Like getting rid of that Zonius there. A nice little play for Fallen Drakes.
Yeah, and I think for Papa to burn that is also because Hearts and Air know that Fallen Drakes shouldn't be able to make the play. Shouldn't.
Yeah,
Fallen
don't
Drakes,
do it.
no.
Please don't do this. Look at those deep wards. Look at the minimap. There are some very deep wards in the red jungle. It's on the other side that you have great angles to TP from Shocky as they did attempt a play on a just there. Yeah, they're peeling back. Good call. Good call. I was getting a little worried there. I'm like, please don't go for this Baron. Shocky will flank and you will all die.
Yeah, with TP available for Shocky, like you don't know where the wards are necessarily from the sides of Hearts and Air. So that's not a risk they're going to take. And for Hearts and Air, they knew exactly where Barrack was. He was pushing topside. That's why they were willing to just kind of step up right there. Even if you kill Jest, it'll take you so long. You will burn so much that Levitate and Papa can just continue pushing it. And because of that, because Fallen Drakes even thought of Baron, they end up kind of wasting time. And that's what's allowing Hearts and Air now to get full control back and actually threaten the Baron dots.
Big moment. Papa has completed that 4th item. Rabadon's death cap for Papa means that if they want, they can actually burst down this Baron really quickly. This will force the hand a bit of Fallen Drakes that now they can't actually play as defensively as they once did, because if you give any time at all to Papa, that Baron's going to fall so quickly.
Here we go. Shocky now rotating towards that mid lane as well. More to zone than to flank.
Look at how fast it's going.
Fallen Drakes
This
don't
is what
know.
I was talking about. You got to get into the pit, but they're just zoning out Kryra, so he couldn't even get near.
Yeah, they had no clue it was being done at first. And by the time they thought to drop the trinket down, it was just basically gone at the point. There's no shot Kryra gets that. And Hearts on Air, the first Baron push wasn't the most efficient. Well, here's your second chance to redeem it.
Yeah, and that's why I was looking at that item, that Rabadon's. I'm just like, okay, if you're not paying attention, they're gonna get.
So?
on quite the trip there. He will die and get shut down.
No, this is supposed to be
Not
the
like this.
redeeming Baron
Not like
push
this.
magical. Oh. And without soul, it's actually really critical. So a lot of times, you know, we talk about like the top laner being really critical with these Baron pushes because you can go that 4-1 split push. But soul is critical for this composition because he's the threat. And with him down for 40 seconds, you won't see Hearts in there pushing up. Fallen Drakes can just kind of brute force that fight at that point. Debonair, Inori, they're not too worried about the dive. Shocky flanks are great and all that, but going in alone is a death sentence. So, yeah, a really rough start to the Baron power play.
Well, I don't think Soul wanted to go on that trip. That was a trip that he was forced
He left
to
clicked.
take. Yeah.
He left clicked. You knew you were clicking.
Oh yeah, that was not something that he meant to do. And also, I don't think he expected that Debonair would use the Weaver's Wall like that to take that journey all the way into the base.
Well, a lesson learned, and I doubt we'll be seeing so going on that. Keep in mind too that's a very niche situation in a way because normally
We've seen
Debonair...
two very niche situations in this game.
True. Two very different niche situations. I'm trying to think. Are there any other third? Is there a third case that we could see in these champions?
You could see. Okay, there is one. Zeri could use the dash on a Talia wall and go the whole distance.
Can she? I thought they were the wall is considered segments, isn't it? So she can't actually ride the whole thing.
No, I'm pretty sure she can. It's really tricky. It's a really finicky angle that you can do, but it's like you have to be pretty much pixel perfect with it. But it can happen.
Okay. Well, we'll see if it does come through or not. For now, Hearts on air are able to pick up the Dragon, but Fallen Drakes are just slamming it in right now in the mid lane. They're able to take a turret, and for a Baroned up team, once again, Hearts on air not able to find anything. Fallen Drakes are the one who take a turret.
I mean, it's just a sun disc, right? It's not really a turret. It's some gold.
Oh, it was just a sun disc?
Oh,
Okay.
wait a minute. Levitate. He doesn't. Oh, I thought he had Guardian's Angel for a second. No, they realized that they're overextended and Soul's not there. They're making the call. They're getting them to go the wrong way. Just could be the target instead. Has to flash away from the seismic shove. But now that Soul's with the team, looks like Fallen Drakes are going to fall back. Both teams, I thought for a second that the trap had been laid out by the Drakes, but it was a good kite back. And guess what? Jockey and Levitate still have that Baron, so they're going to open up another lane.
Well, you know, Hearts in air might have activated the Fallen Drake trap card, but...
Wait a minute.
Oh, no, reverse cards coming through!
There's going to be a fight on the other side. We have a split-up fight as we got Kryra flashing away, but we see that inside of the base was an attempt to fight with Kryra, getting a nice shield, goes back in because he realized there was no actual escape, so he's just delaying the inevitable.
Okay, how critical is Kryra, pardon me, to this base defense that Fallen Drakes now have to put up? Because they have to expose inhibitors.
No, Muzi, you didn't want that hook. You did not want that hook. Oh,
he's showing.
Yeah, okay, he's fine. That landed. I thought for a second that was going to be it, and that was going to be the death nail here. But it is going to still be a push. We have Hearts on air, at least sieging the best they can. It's nice having.
They did it.
Yeah, they actually get another turret here. Now every inhibitor is exposed, and Papa should be able to take this mid one pretty easily.
20 seconds on Kryra. Keep that in mind, because with no Kryra, it's so hard for Fallen Drakes to actually try and fight this. He is one of their best frontliners with that Crescent Guard.
10 seconds up. He will be spawning soon, and only the one inhibitor. Though wait, Papa. Actually, no. Okay. He thought about it for a second, got one auto attack, and like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, you have to respect Debonair with that Talia potentially pinching you, even with the flash, even with the slide. It's just really, really scary. And Hearts in Air, they reset, and yeah, they are getting advantages. Magical, I mean, they are up, what is that, 8,000 gold at this point, even though...
Yeah, but we're getting to the point of the game where it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You're nearly full build for Inori B. You're already full build for Levitate. This is that point of the game. Once you have both Debonair and Inori B for Fallen Drakes, and then you have Papa and Levitate full build for Hearts on Air, gold doesn't matter. You got the two most important players on each of the teams at full build. So if you can get that, but we are seeing that it is a slight lead at the moment for Hearts on Air, because it is the full build already for Levitate, and you're only half an item away for Papa.
Yeah, but the fact that you're even almost in terms of kills, even in terms of dragons, I think that speaks a lot to how well the Fallen Drakes have been able to soak in the pressure and kind of nullify a lot of this gold lead that has been coming through, a lot of the compositional advantages that Hearts on Air have.
Okay, well, Inori P, was a little bit too far out there.
Chalky
I thought for a
TP flag.
second that they were actually going to look for that one.
Chalky
Chalky is
flagging.
on the other side. Barrick is not ready. That's the paranoia.
Here we go!
Papa's home, baby. Beautiful. All to rip apart Fallen Drakes.
And Barrick, can he get away right now?
No,
Levitate's
he knew-
really
he
janky.
He knows there's no way out
Give
of this
it,
one.
give it.
That's why he went for it. He's like, all right, I might as well full send it because they're going to end the game anyways. Beautiful. Papa. Absolute legend there.
Yeah, and really good from Shocky as well. That TP flank.
Yeah, that was okay. It's all Papa to me.
That's
That's all Poppy. Papa. That was so good.
You know what? Agree to disagree, because I thought that TP flank coming through from Shocky was insane. And for Fallen Drakes, we were just saying they had done so incredibly well, but keep in mind the composition was really rough for them with the exposed inhibitors. They were just in a really odd position. Like if you give up Baron at that point, you're gonna lose game just to the push. But if you if you go contest the Baron, that's the risk that your inhibs are just gonna get taken. And that's kind of what eventually put them in that really odd position where they ended up trying to back at a bad timing.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what happens too. And the problem that we had here for Fallen Drakes was that composition. It had so many things that had to go right every fight that if even one slipped apart, like yeah, Shocky's TP corralled everyone over towards Papa and made it so that beautiful ult could come through. But it's that one thing that can go wrong. You're all in that tight corridor, right as an Azir shows up. You're not escaping that one. You're so immobile that is an easy pick, and it was a beautiful fight from everyone on Hearts on Air to pick up that game. But we are going to toss it to a break so we can get ready for our 4th game of the day. So make sure you stay tuned.